Sara Beardsley, ella es directora de Consultoría de Accenture. Acaba de tener una conferencia con nosotros sobre cómo construir una estrategia exitosa adaptándose al nuevo consumidor digital. Hello, Sara.
Hello.
How is digital changing the world and the aspects of our lives?
Well, I talked in my remarks about how it's changing businesses and how it's changing the way that we all behave. First, for businesses, it's creating very many new opportunities for small businesses to grow, as well as for very established businesses to reach their customers in a very different way and deliver their services. It's changed the cost structure pretty dramatically. In terms of how it changes our lives, it makes us all much more mobile, literally. We can move around and do our work. And it also allows us to, really create opportunities anywhere we are. It's really about anytime, anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Now we have this non-stop consumer.
Yes.
Well, tell us about it.
What we have found in our research is that companies and customers, consumers, used to think about things in a very linear fashion. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I'm aware of your product, I like it, I buy it, I'm loyal. Now we're in loops that are constantly allowing us to evaluate because we're hearing input from the brand, the company, as well as from people remarking about that experience in social media and word of mouth, which has always existed, but social media is just word of mouth on a digital platform, if you will. And so the time of discovery and evaluation and purchase and use is all combined together in this continual flow. And that's a very different model for companies to respond to.
How can we have this engagement with this new consumer?
Well, a lot of it relies on gathering information, turning it into useful information, and then pushing it out to the people who are interacting with the customer. So a simple example, if you're sitting on an airline and the flight attendant is equipped to know that you've just taken 3 or 4 flights, but the person sitting next to you may have taken 10 or 12, they can, equipped with that information, respond perhaps differently to value the experience of that flyer differently. It's a simple consumer example. There are a lot of others in business to business and business to consumer that apply that same concept.
How can we be success in this digital world?
I think it's about being very agile, being willing to adapt and adjust, and putting the consumer or whoever that company's customer is, whether it's another business or a government, really at the center of everything they do. I'm surprised constantly at how many companies don't do that. And it's difficult. It's very difficult because we have our ways of working, we have our organizations, we have our revenues, and so really changing the idea of what's at the center of your company to be about the customers that you serve, and then move outward from there, we feel is the best way to succeed in an additional environment.
Tell me, what are the key elements to endure customer relevance?
The thing that you can really see that's most visible is the idea of delighting your customers. And that's kind of the tip of the iceberg that's above the water, it's visible. The things that are beneath the surface are harder to execute, which are really about the platforms and the process that enable that delighting of the customer. And then what I just talked about, reorienting your business around what's required to be agile and flexible, and at the same time provide that platform for delighting your customers. Scale and relevance are sort of in conflict with one another. Relevance is all about really being customized because it's relevant to me at the moment. Scale is the opposite. Scale is all about doing things over and over in massive quantities at very fast volumes. And so this is why those 3 things have to fit together very closely.
How do you imagine the interactions in 5 years?
I think they'll be just as ubiquitous as they are now. I think a lot more face-to-face elements will be brought into play. So much more video chat, much less calling into call centers. 81% of the people we surveyed said they call into call centers. But even though only 25% said they use their mobile device to interact with a company, they're much more satisfied with that interaction. So I think this will flip in 5 years, that the vast majority will be via a digital interaction, mobile or chat or video, but the satisfaction will go way up.
And how can we win with digital consumers?
Well, I think it's really the kinds of themes that we talked about. So know me, be intimate with me in a way that's reasonable and doesn't cross boundaries of privacy or security. So be very hyper relevant, build that relationship over time, really enable it through technology, through this predictive analytics and that kind of thing. And then be willing to be flexible and reward me for my longevity of my relationship.
This is your first time in the Global Contact
It
Forum.
is, yes, it's my first time here.
What do you think about it?
I've been really impressed with the amount of companies and call center providers and technologists that support the industry. You know, I first started working in call centers back when it was very, very primitive compared to how it is today. And so it's been fun to see in a short window the tremendous evolution and transformation in this part of the business. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.